Welcome back, everybody. It's the 8-Bit Eric Show, and today I'm going to talk about the NES Zapper, the light gun peripheral that came packaged with the NES Entertainment System. The NES Zapper is pretty simple. Connection at the ends, just like the NES controller. Nothing too fancy. The length of the wire is very good. Very lightweight, comfortable to hold in the hand. Trigger is spring-loaded, makes that classic sound. It's also fun to play with when you're not playing the video games and you're a little 5-year-old kid just running through the house, shooting shit, pissing off your parents. Right here, Nintendo Zapper 1985. This way it just says Nintendo. I have the gray kind, not the orange. This is the first issue of them. I believe that they was later changed to not look as realistic as a regular gun, even though this doesn't look like any gun that I know. Other systems, like the Master System's guns, were all black. The Odyssey, from seeing the Angry Video Game Nerds videos, it actually looked like a freaking shotgun or a rifle. But this one, packaged in with the game, classic, and now I'm going to show you how it works. The NES Zapper is one of the most classic symbols of Nintendo, and it was one of the most fun things to use with the Nintendo. Unfortunately, I didn't have many of the games as a kid, but now I have a few. But today I'm going to talk about my favorite, and that's Duck Hunt, which is most commonly packaged in the 2-game cart like this with the Nintendo Entertainment System with Super Mario Brothers. I have seen it single by itself, but I do not have it. I do have a single Super Mario Brothers. But we're going to talk about this game, and I'm going to show you how the Zapper works exactly. So let's check it out. We're going to put the game in. Plug that shit in. Time to play some fucking games. Duck Hunt, made in 1984, one of the original launch titles for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's exactly what the title says. Duck hunting. You're equipped with a gun that has 3 bullets per duck, limited time. If you fail to hit the duck or you run out of time, the duck flies away. You have a dog to assist you, who's one of the most infamous characters in Nintendo history. I don't even know what his name is, but this is the only time that you see him is in Duck Hunt. Okay, so you generally, luckily my Zapper is pretty decent at hitting the ducks. I've seen other people's Zappers not work. Sometimes it just misses. I think what it is if the laser's too exposed, or not the laser, but the lens inside or whatever it uses to read the light from the screen is exposed too much, then it won't hit the target. The Zapper concentrates on a single part of the screen. It blacks out the rest of the screen, whatever's in the square light, which you'll see in the gameplay footage. If you shoot in that part, that's where it connects. If it's outside that part, it won't hit the duck. But back to the gameplay. As you can see, when you shoot each duck, the screen flashes real quick, and around the part that you shoot, it turns white. This white area is what tells the game and the Zapper whether you are being accurate with your shots or not. So basically, in a nutshell, if it's inside of the white spot, you hit it. If it's anywhere else, you've missed. So it was a little bit more unexplainable back then. And as a kid, you really don't give a shit that the gun works or not, just as long as you're able to shoot some ducks. But looking back 20 some odd years later, it's actually pretty neat. This is the only Nintendo gun ever made that was like this. Everything else was using the sensors, like the Nintendo Wii Zapper uses the same thing that the Wii Remote uses. The Super Scope uses its own little sensor bar up top. This one was directly powered through the Nintendo console, and it worked just by pointing at the screen. The Zapper does not work with newer TVs though, so I don't think it works with flat screens or plasmas. My broke ass doesn't have a flat screen or plasma. As you can tell, I still have this old school Sanyo. It's not even Sony, it's Sanyo. And mine works pretty well. Back to the game. The footage that you're seeing right now is the regular gameplay, which is one duck at a time. So it's really not that challenging. As I mentioned, this is one of the games that you can just pick up and play, and people of all ages will enjoy this game. There's really not much to talk about as far as difficulty goes, but the ducks do fly a little bit faster as you progress to each round. This is only round 2, but I've made it pretty high as far as rounds go, and it starts to get a little bit tricky to aim because the ducks move so sporadically that it's hard to predict where they go. That's the only real downside about this game, is that it's hard to tell which ways the ducks are going to move because their animation is not really that fluid. Other than that, this game is a pretty fun game, and there's nothing much to it. It's real simple, and I think mostly what it was a test game to test the technology of the Zapper, kind of to introduce it as an accessory to the audience. Duck Hunt is one of the easiest games to just pick up and play. Just aim and shoot, aim and shoot. Now I'm going to show you Game B, which I mentioned earlier is 2 ducks at a time. You still only have 3 shots in your gun, so that means if you miss once, you cannot miss again to get both ducks. The gameplay goes a little bit faster because you go through the amount of ducks on the bottom row faster than you would 1 duck at a time, so it's also easier to lose and to get a game over. As you can see, I have a little bit of difficulty hitting both ducks at a time. The gameplay is still the same. It's just 2 ducks at once. 2 ducks, 1 gun, 1 girl, 1 cup, or whatever you want to say. But either way, this is if you want a little bit more of a change up of the game. I really didn't play this as a kid. I always stuck with the 1 duck. The third and final game on Duck Hunt, Game C, is clay shooting, which is basically a change of scenery, and instead of shooting ducks, you shoot clay disc. It can be a little bit tricky, but this is pretty much it. It's actually a little bit more boring than Duck Hunt, in my opinion. But I think at times there's more than just 2 clays that shoot. I didn't play far enough on this game review to make sure of that, but if you want something different, then this gameplay right here is just a little added bonus, but it still plays the same. 3 bullets per round, and if you miss enough times, then it's game over for you, buddy. NES Zapper works very great. There you go. The variety of games with the Zapper were pretty basic. Not much to them. At least the Nintendo first party ones. The third party games that came out later, like Operation Wolf, Gotcha Sports, and so on, they were a little bit more advanced, and they actually, some of them allowed you to use both the NES controller and the Zapper. But Duck Hunt is always one of my favorites. Anybody who's my age or older knows all about this game and what's up with it. Younger kids, if y'all haven't played this, y'all are missing out, definitely. This is nostalgic big time. This is one of the best treats in life. This is one of the best things about the NES. Highly recommend you pick up Duck Hunt and get your ass shooting some ducks.